In our previous videos, we've been talking about game engines. So, this today we are going to talk about what happened before video games, like the forgotten history of game design. So let's get right into it. And remember, if you have not subscribed, subscribe to get more videos like this and keep your software knowledge razor sharp. We have a natural habit of discussing game design as if it were a purely modern phenomenon, born exclusively out of the invention of microprocessors, cathode ray tubes, and Silicon Valley startup culture. We spend hours analyzing frame rates, stability curves, engine performance profiles, and the vertex shader pipeline, but computer code is merely a contemporary medium. The underlying psychological architecture of game design, the structural creation of rules, payback loop mechanics, resource balancing, and the creation of player agency was meticulously researched and perfected centuries before the very first digital computer was ever powered on. Long before Unreal Engine, Unity, or Godot even existed, the world's most brilliant system designers were working with nothing but wood, carved bone, and parchment paper, and raw mathematical probability. If you want to understand why your favorite modern games mechanics feel so incredibly addictive, fair, and structurally satisfying, we must step entirely away from the screen and explore the deep, forgotten history of analog game loops. Consider the infrastructure of modern digital role-playing games. When you spend hours optimizing your character's armor values, calculating critical hit modifiers, managing limited inventory slots, or selecting elemental resistances in an open world title, you are not engaging with an original digital invention. You are interacting with a complex structural framework that was directly lifted from the tabletop wargaming manuals of the 1970s, which in turn evolved from the 19th century Peruvian military simulation engines known as Kriegspiel. This early analog system faced a massive architectural bottleneck. Their entire computational engine was the human brain, and their primary processor was a handful of polyhedral dice. Because human calculation is incredibly slow compared to silicon, these analog developers had to engineer exceptionally elegant, mathematically dense formulas that could convey intense statistical tension using nothing but simple addition and subtraction. When modern game developed, every start served a strict structural purpose. There was zero room for computational bloat. When modern game developers design a digital progression system, they are running on the exact same psychological and mathematical rails mapped out by analog pioneers decades ago. As the industrial era progressed into the mid-20th century, game design transitioned from pure tabletop math into an engineering challenge of physical electrochemical constraints. Look at the architecture of a vintage pinball machine or an early electrochemical arcade unit. These machines possessed no digital memory chips, no microprocessors, and no screen buffers. Collision detection wasn't coded via code vectors in an update loop. It was executed by a steel ball bearing physically smashing into a pair of spring-loaded copper leaf switches, completing an electrical circuit that fired a mechanical scoring relay. The design paradigm here was entirely spatial, mechanical, and kinetic. Level designers couldn't adjust a variable in a script to tweak difficulty. They had to physically alter the slope of the playfield wooden board, adjust the tension of a steel spring, or reposition a rubber bumper. The spatial layout principles perfected by these electrochemical engineers, managing momentum, designing clear visual lanes, and staging risk versus reward pathways are the exact same design philosophies utilized by modern level designers, mapping out a multi-million-dollar map layout in a AAA competitive shooter. If we travel even further back to the ancient world, we discover that the mastery of core game rules is as old as civilization itself. The ancient Egyptian game of Senet, dating back over 500,000 years, or the royal game of UR from Mesopotamia, weren't just casual pastimes. They were highly sophisticated exercises in state tracking and probability management. These games utilized specialized casting sticks or multi-sided dice to inject controlled randomness, balanced by strict mechanical rules that allowed players to block, capture, or accelerate past their opponents. The designers of these ancient board layouts perfectly understood the concept of positive and negative feedback loops. They knew exactly how to position hazardous quarters on the board to stall a winning player, keeping the match highly competitive and preventing early game dominance from ruining the mechanical tension. This is the exact same balancing act system designers use today when implementing rubber banding mechanics in racing games or dynamic difficulty scaling in action titles, like we talked about in one of our videos about how modern games are being rigged, and modern online games are being rigged. So video game software engines did not invent game design, they simply automated its computational execution. When you strip away the heavy graphics pipeline, the complex shader code, the multi-threaded task graphs, and the high-resolution texture maps, you are left with the exact same human desire for system-based interaction that has guided our species for thousands of years. Whether you are drawing UI icons onto a physical sketch paper with a pencil before scanning them into a digital vector tool, or writing complex procedural generation scripts in a modern compiler, you are executing the exact same timeless tradecraft. You are constructing a structured universe out of abstract rules, balancing mechanical systems, and engineering an active conduit for human agency. Understanding the historical continuity is what transforms a standard game programmer into a master designer. What is your favorite classic analog mechanic from tabletop or mechanical history that you believe modern video game engines have still failed to perfectly replicate in code? Let's spark a deep design debate in the comment section below. Be sure to anchor your place in the studio by clicking that subscribe button. Support the channel's evolution, and I'll see you in the next analysis. Keep creating.